I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Persing?
Here.
Snyder?
Here.
Martella? Troop? Ister?
Need approval of the minutes. Fire Department, Police Department, Engineer, Code Office, Public Works, Redevelopment Authority, and the Planning Commission. Need a second?
Second.
Snyder?
Yes.
Martella?
Yes.
Troop?
Yes.
Ister? Persing?
Yes. Any audience comment on any of the agenda items for right now? Okay, anybody here from SRI? Slade, you have the floor, sir.
Just a few things off the project report. Of course, as you saw in the newspaper, we did get the grant from the DCED in support of the tax credit for the Albright building, which we had the, I guess, like the dedication on Friday, which was a really nice thing. And also New Year's Eve, the planning's just about all done. We're wrapping it up now. We're going to be having Bad Medicine, Bon Jovi tribute band. That'll be at 9:30. The kids portion starts at 6 with Brent Kessler, Magician, Kingdom Kids, carriage rides, hot chocolate, cookies. Jimmy, you like cookies, right? Okay, just checking. And we're hoping to have a few other things there. We're finishing that up. And also we're going to have another stage with music from 8 to like 9:30 with some of the participants from the Valley's Got Talent performing on that stage from 8 to 9:30. And this year we're going to be doing a live webcast of New Year's Eve with Drew and Allie and Francis throughout the city that night. So for the people that don't want to come outside in the cold to the city, they'll be able to watch it online on the Daily Item or Sunbury Broadcasting webpage. So that's the report. Oh, late night shoppers night was a success. Thank you, Lord.
There was a lot of people downtown for the shoppers night. I know that the places I was in, there seemed to be a lot of activity, so that was a good job. Jamie here?
Yeah, I'm in the back.
There you are, I'm sorry.
Different view today.
CDBG update.
Taking it in. I'm just here to report that DCED has approved that planning activity for code enforcement for the mapping of the targeted area. I did have to reduce the amount slightly down to about $8,400 because the $10,000 put it over the 18%. So I had to fix that because DCED said it was wrong, so it wasn't. So I just wanted to let you know that that was approved, and I'll be setting up a meeting with the municipal authority to start working out the spreadsheet information. So we'll get together and discuss what all we want on that spreadsheet and go from there. But we can move forward with it at this point.
Good.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Redevelopment Authority update. They didn't have a meeting this month. They're waiting after the holidays, so we'll wait till next year to talk about where they're at. Unfinished business. I'm aware of any. New business. You see on the agenda, partnership with Sunbury. You're going to hear a lot more about that next year. But we wanted to announce, and I'm sure you read in the newspaper the Albright Church plan and how that's taking place. And I know John Shipman's not here. I don't know if there's anybody here that's on that Spark board. Slade. Yeah. Slade's one of them. That financial end of those, those are the people that are actually responsible. We talked about this for 4 or 5 years ago. There was all kinds of different ideas to put that together, but John Shipman and Slade and who else is on this?
Bob Zimmerman, Corey Fossil, Megan Beck. I'm going to leave somebody
Mr.
out.
Grossman on that?
No.
No? Okay.
Lagerman. Yeah, thanks, Mike.
All right.
I knew I
But
was-
those are the 5 or 6 people, and I'm sure Slade will probably admit it's under John's leadership, financial-wise, to put that together. Like I said, we've been after this concept for years and years. It was going to be a 6-year plan originally. It's going to be a 3-year plan, but just to get the state involved in it is huge. It really is. And so I do want to mention that Northumberland National Bank was is a big part of that project. Zimmerman Motors, Sunbury Motors, and PP&L, and they're still looking for another sponsor. But you'll hear a lot about that and how that's going to progress and the impact that can make to the city. It really can be. It's the next riverfront. Everything the riverfront has done for us and moved us forward, this project to do the same thing and for our future. So I'm looking forward to announcing a lot of good things, and we'll see how that plays out. But the partnership with Sunbury, it proves it's like we've talked in the last couple of meetings. I know Councilman Eicher's been talking about there's some Burger King in the Sunoco. There's going to be some upgrades and some updating and some realignments and all that kind of stuff in that project. And that's the same scenario. That's partnership with Sunbury. The city of Sunbury actually owns all that ground. They lease that. That's a long-term lease with us. And that's bringing in tax revenue that's keeping us from raising taxes and taking money out of your pockets directly. And there's a site up on North 4th Street. We want to get involved in that. Some ground out there that we own. So I think that's going to be a huge thing also next year is a partnership with Sunbury, and as we get more people involved, we'll let everybody know in the public what's happening and who we need to support because they're supporting us. Who would pay invoices? Todd?
Yes, everyone would have received the report at the end of last week. I'd like to again make a motion this evening to approve payables in the amounts outstanding of $75,545.15 from the general fund, $200,721.70 in regards to the Wolverton Street project, and then lastly, $6,855.50 from the liquid fuels account.
Second.
Thank you.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister, Persing,
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Tax exoneration, Todd?
Again, in everyone's packet this evening, we have our standard report. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the request for exoneration from the individuals listed for the amount shown and the reasons given.
Second.
Thank you.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troops resignation, pretty simple. I would like to tender my resignation from the City Council effective January 6th, 2014. A pleasure serving with you and serving the citizens of Sunbury. Of course, Councilman Troop is moving into the Treasurer's office. You'll hear about the advertisement for replacing that. We're going to try to have it advertised. I don't know if there's a lot of
You can advertise it, but just mention the date when this will be effective, so that's how the advertisement would read. That there would be a vacancy as of January 6, 2014, and then gives sufficient day for people to apply.
Is there any problem advertising before that date?
No, as long as you say what date the resignation is effective.
I believe the intent would be to advertise it effective that day, interview somebody that week, and then maybe on the 13th, which is the first council meeting, then we have the new sitting council person at that time and take right into effect.
Correct, if you
Okay.
get some applications.
so we can take like letters of intent right after the act.
But if somebody wants to apply tomorrow, they may.
Okay.
Well, by law, we have to advertise, right, Mike?
Exactly.
Well, like I'm saying, and we'll get the dates down exactly, but the intent is to have interviews between the 6th and the 10th or 11th, whatever that is. And then, so come the 13th, we could actually vote on it at that meeting, and then that person would be sitting right here in the chair meeting. We're off and running with the new council for the new year.
Is that a appointed position?
Is there a appointed position? This council will pick a position, to replace Mr. Councilman Troop, yes. There's 30 days in there, but we want to do it, like I said, we do it in that 7, then when everybody, instead of having a council meeting missing a position, then all the positions will be filled. Public discussion, anybody having discussion on anything they'd like to talk about? Yes, sir.
I'm Drake Saxton. I'd like to talk about start with the crime in Sunbury, murder in Sunbury, and it's a concern when crime fighting cameras are now in place, but they don't seem to be very effective. I'd also like to know who's monitoring the cameras, what is the procedure to get the material off the cameras, and who has access to those procedures and the actual recorded material. The Sunbury Police Department cannot answer the volume of calls it gets because it is underfunded and understaffed. I believe that's pretty common knowledge, and the Sunbury Police Department needs both crime and drug detectives. Mayor Persing stated that he's proud of his administration and he's committed to spending $300,000 on a historic flood wall when his administration claimed just a few months ago the wall was safe. The real truth about the historic wall now has been exposed by your administration, and the danger to the city validated through their willingness to spend excess amounts of money on the wall. Unfortunately, the Persing administration again shows their fiscal irresponsibility by overspending unnecessarily when other city operations need funding. The wall was examined by an engineering firm of the city's choice, and the engineering firm estimated the cost to make the appropriate repairs at little more than $30,000. But the Persing administration again shows no fiscal restraint when they act. The excess money could be spent in other city operations that sorely need additional financing. The wall can be repaired with a FEMA grant awarded to the city. It's also interesting to note that the grant contains a cost overrun clause, so the city could recoup any overage charge for the wall repair. The Persing administration has refused many times to enforce many of its codes, particularly but not limited to the former Celotex site. Nor has the administration protected the citizens of Sunbury from the hazards of the site, like the dust that was raised this summer by tractor trailers on the site. That dust contains arsenic in amounts that the PADEP finds unacceptable for human contact, but the administration seems to find it acceptable for the residents of Sunbury to breathe this arsenic-laden dust, again ignoring the enforcement of long-established law within the city. While the city falls into shambles, Mayor Persing is often occupied with ASA softball. The recreation facilities in Sunbury are excellent and should be continued and expanded, but not at the expense of the taxpayer. These facilities have the ability to be self-supporting. Mayor Persing brings to the city softball tournaments that each team pays to enter. And the money raised in these tournaments does not go to the city, but rather ends up in the coffers of the ASA. This is a sweet way to raise money with Sunbury City taxpayers' resources. The city maintains the fields with city money, employees, vehicles, and investment, but the ASA gets the money and the taxpayer pays the bills. All of this, and the mayor has dishonored our veterans by accepting the name change of the facility originally named to honor our veterans to the David Persing Recreation Complex. The snack bars at the swimming pool and skating rink have consistently lost money. Any business would long ago have made the necessary adjustments to stop these losses, but the current administration has continued to lose taxpayer dollars on the snack bars. An effective city administration would have solved this problem the first year it appeared. Sunbury City has a feral cat problem. Current administration has yet to take action on this simply solved problem, as many other administrations have done. View the debacle on Race Street next to the ASA Hall of Fame. There the city demolished a home, but in the process damaged a neighboring property so seriously that the damaged home required excessive repair. Unfortunately, Mayor Persing did not step up to the plate. Instead, Mayor Persing made the decision to ignore the responsibility that was caused by the demolition that he was part of approving and not do the right thing. And the right thing would have been to fulfill your obligation to repair the damage caused by the demolition in a timely and satisfactory way to the aggrieved homeowner. It is not any wonder that murderers are now starting to use Sunbury as a dumping ground.
Oh, please.
The police department does the best it can with one hand tied behind its back, but they need more funding to be able to do their job. The Sunbury City budget needs serious adjustment and alignment. The crime-fighting cameras are not what they were advertised to be, as the administration has made its decisions on what to buy and how to position and deploy their use. While it was reported in the Daily Item there would be 200 cameras, there are little more than 50. So where did the money go, and what do the residents of Sunbury have to show? Stormwater system in the city of Sunbury is inadequate. Thus, the city engineer has advised the residents to pray for no large storm events. The inadequate stormwater system is causing some residents' basements to flood, causing damage to those homes, and city streets flood. This is a recap of the last several years.
We heard it before.
Yes, you have, but you haven't taken action on it, on any of these things. None of these
That's
things
your
have been
opinion,
solved.
Mr.
Sachs, we're allowing you to give your opinion, just keep going.
Thank you. The city has many more issues that need serious attention. After re-election, Mayor Persing said he will keep the city moving up. Let's hope the forward up movement Mayor Persing referenced, is not what we have seen so far.
Thank you for your opinion. Anybody else?
I had one thing, there was nothing under old business, and when he brought that up, it reminded me, did we do anything on that feral cat thing that I gave you? Did you give that to Mike to look at?
Last meeting, you said December, something would likely be done, I believe.
Well, does anybody propose?
All I know
that?
is like we said, we went to that meeting, Terry and I, a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, Northumberland and us were the only people there. And their plan was so comprehensive, it's just, I mean, it was just,
I handed you that simple one at the last meeting, that we were gonna have Mike look at.
I believe if I could, I believe it was Mayor Persing, said that at least they were looking strongly towards enacting something like forbidding the feeding outside, doing something with the licenses, and perhaps maybe something where they have to be on a leash or control. And
I think we talked about the feeding. We thought the feeding might be the only thing.
also licensing, because remember we had a little back and forth about the dollars
Tattoos and.
associated with it. And you thought in about a month, if I remember correctly.
All right, well, I personally, and I'm not speaking for anything other than myself, I personally, I can't see how we can enforce these things. That's where I'm at personally. That's why I'm not prepared to bring anything up tonight to vote on for that reason. But everybody else, the thing Joe turned in some stuff that was, there's some realistic stuff in there, but we still need to find a way to enforce these things, and I don't see how financially or manpower-wise how we can do it. That seems to be the issue that they're having in the other communities at the same thing when they're trying to spread it county-wide at the same time. And like I say, Kevin went to that meeting, and I don't believe that we were the only two that were there. I don't think anybody else in the county was at the meeting.
I have a puzzled look on my face because I thought at the last meeting you were.
I'm the one that said that. He wasn't here at the last meeting. I'm the one that said at least take a look at outside feeding.
No, he was here at the last meeting.
No, and that's why I said, we have done that. I have done that personally, looked at it. I still don't see how we can enforce it.
I think the feeding can be enforced, the licensing, I don't believe we can. But the feeding issue, I think, that can be addressed to the point where I know there's people that live in here in the city somewhere that put big dishes of food out back for the cats and the whole neighborhood, I believe. So I think that can be addressed there.
I mean, I admit I'm a bit ignorant about laws and the enforcement of such, but, I mean, forgive me, but I think it's a bit of a cop-out to not put an ordinance in place because there's concern about how well you can enforce it.
Well, if you can't enforce it, why would you want to put an ordinance?
I mean, that's, well, to me, no disrespect, DUI laws, why have them? We can't enforce them. I mean,
Well, we do enforce, we have police officers who enforce them. We don't have animal control officers. In the old days, like when the county had like dog, we had people that did that, dog enforcement officers. So if you got called without a license, I mean, you got fined. I don't even know if they do that anymore because there's no county enforcement officer.
well, my impression was the code enforcement, perhaps the police would be part of it. So if somebody did have an issue, I mean, they would contact one of those two parties, and then they would enforce it. I mean,
I look at it this way, I mean, you have everybody else in the county trying to come up with some kind of ordinance here. I think everybody's involved. I mean, Nori's probably leading the spearhead of it all. But when do you think we want to have an ordinance that's gonna be something we can set our teeth into and make sure it's the right ordinance, instead of jumping into something that's too quick? You know what I mean? I know now Nora, Schmoken and Mark Harmel's getting together, and I know the county is trying to get involved. But now you want to have an ordinance that's going to be a good ordinance, instead of just jumping into something real quick and, not something we can, police. I mean, it's just my opinion. I would think we would want to wait and make sure it's exactly what everybody wants and everybody's on the same page. So one community doing one community doing another, one community doing another thing. So, that's why you start a statewide thing, I don't know. I mean, that's just, it's my thinking on it.
it seems to me that most other communities have moved.
There's nobody that moved anywhere.
Well,
They're in
Now,
anticipation.
Danville was supposed to have a vote on theirs, I believe it was December, there was an article in the paper,
They
it
didn't
was
have
postponed
it?
to,
They didn't have it yet?
well, it's upcoming, okay, so there is,
Well, that's where ours is officially. It's upcoming because we haven't had a proposal put together to actually vote
well,
on
they
it.
have a proposal that they're voting.
Okay.
Um,
Well, top one of the,
I mean, as with any problem, right, it requires a effective solution. This isn't as simple as just drafting an ordinance. And the bottom line is council, and I probably think the police and the code office and others considering the other things we're focused on, feral cats, although it's an important issue, it's not at the top of the list. So we have to, in that case, kind of turn to citizens like yourself. If you identify the problem and you want to get involved in an effective solution, contact the local SPCA, contact those that are involved in the programs that handle spay and neuter programs, get a citizen committee together and actually begin to address it there. Because no matter what ordinance we enact, it comes down to, in the end, these cats are going to end up potentially at the SPCA. And if they do, what do they do with them? Well, in most cases, they end up euthanizing them. There's a spay and neuter program in place within the city that's actually, again, spearheaded by citizens that can effectively start to take care of these cats. You end up solving the problem. Because with just an ordinance, we have nothing other than cats wandering the streets with an ordinance. And that's, we really don't effectively manage the problem that way. So I put it back to you. If this is that important of an issue for you, then actually I suggest taking hours out of your day and actually helping us address it by getting a citizens group together and getting involved with the solution, because that's what it's going to take. It's not this group up here that's going to fix this one. It's going to take folks like you sitting there.
I think we could at least up the feed, put something on
Yeah,
there.
it seems to me that
If somebody has dishes out, the neighbor complains and says, hey, come up and check, there's dishes out here, could you come up and take care of it? That's no different than any other code issue that we have.
yeah,
Right now, we have something for dogs, and we could easily just change the whole dog one and say dogs and cats, if that's so.
I'm
We end
completely,
up giving it lip service.
I'm puzzled by what I'm hearing this evening as opposed to what I heard at the last meeting. I mean, it seems to be a completely different viewpoint. I don't know, something happened from 2 weeks ago to now.
I think pretty much the only thing I thought we could enforce would be the outside feeding. And I'm not sure, as we always say, we can never have enough police officers, but when we get 4 phone calls in and there's 3 of them for go to somebody's house and the other one's about the cats, you know, we're not going to see the cats. So when I talk about enforceability, that's what I mean. We don't have anybody in this staff that can automatically go take care of that right away. But I'm up for that. That's about, if you can do anything, that's it. But even that, you're not going to be able to enforce 100%. Mrs. Broch had her hand up for a while. Go ahead.
Yes, Northumberland does have an extensive proposal for the feral cat issue, but I also spoke with those folks over there, and they said, quite honestly, there's really no way to enforce it, on top of the fact that they really don't have the manpower to enforce it. But I've heard quite a few people that are very upset about the fact that if people are caught feeding these cats, first of all, they didn't ask to be on the street. It was an irresponsible owner that turned them out onto the streets, and then they began to have babies one after the other, litter after litter. But I did hear that if something like that is enacted where the potential is to starve these cats, that PETA will probably step in. And then you're really gonna have a problem.
What's this again? Because
PETA.
I know Peter, if you say it's illegal to feed stray cats, and somebody's gonna step in, and if they step in, you say to them, you take the cats home with you.
We're not saying you can't, we're not saying you can't feed stray cats, we're saying you can't feed them outside. You can't leave a food dish out there unaccompanied for any skunk, cat, or anything to come up and eat. Has nothing to do with feeding a poor stray cat. If you want to feed the cat, you take the cat inside and you feed them and treat them nicely, and then whatever you do with them.
Well, the feral cats, for the most part, you can't even get them to embrace what you're trying to do for them. It's more like the kittens that you can get.
Right.
Is there a comment? Yes, ma'am?
Jim might be able to help me with this. Wasn't there a program maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, where they would come in and catch them and spay and neuter them and then release them?
We had that, and the vet that did that was killed in a car accident.
Oh.
Seriously.
That's the problem, that's what Lori's having a problem with right now, Carol, is
Trying
they
to
can't,
find a
they
vet.
can't find a vet who's wanna go out there and put their time out there for
It's a
nothing.
lot of money.
We did it twice, I believe, and we did hundreds.
We put down the city bar, and we let them use that down there one time, and they had hundreds of cats down
And
there.
up the rescues, they had it up there one time.
Yeah, there's a traveling vet that comes up from Harrisburg or Hershey area or something like that with a big motor home. Yes.
And we, I mean, we'll give them space to have this done, you know, if we get a vet to come in and help us out, that'd be great.
The other thing is like the veterinary schools, a lot of their students need practice doing things, maybe contacting University of Pennsylvania Veterinary School, maybe they'd be willing to set up some kind of a program, even just if it's only a few weekends, where their students come up and do something like that, and they wouldn't, maybe you don't have to pay mileage.
They would think I'll bring to the table next council meeting, the feeding situation, and at least pass that, see what it does for us.
Why don't we just do it now?
Because if it's an ordinance change, it's 2 readings, and it won't go into effect till 10 days after. And you're starting them in this time.
I'd like to talk, well, Norris had that for how long is not feeding? That they look, yes, right?
Theirs doesn't go into effect, didn't you say it doesn't go into
January.
effect?
January 1st.
Well, that's
Well, that's what they're voting
yeah.
on, yeah.
Did you like, I know some people down at the University of Pennsylvania Veterinary Program, I can see if it would be something maybe to consider.
Yeah, that'd be, I just made a note of that, that'd be something interesting. I don't know if anybody at any of the universities up this way have anything like that. I'm not aware of it.
I don't, that's the only veterinary program I'm aware of, I'm sure there's some other, you know, maybe closer, but you can ask.
Rick?
My question on this, if you're gonna stop the feeding, are you gonna stop people from throwing scraps out the backyard, right out the backyard to feed those people? Your cats or your animals are gonna grab that just as quick as the birds are. So if you see somebody throwing stuff out their backyard, you're gonna invite them up?
Well, there's people that have dogs in pens too that feed them outside
Yeah.
too, so we have to figure out.
Well, I
how
mean,
to
you gotta
do
look,
that.
you gotta look, if you're gonna abolish putting a dog trailer down, my dog food goes on the back porch all the time when I have my animals. I mean, that somebody that comes out and throws scraps from the dinner out to the birds or whatever, that's gonna be eliminated also then, right?
Well, we don't know, that's why we need to write something up, we need to write something up.
It's more like probably if you have a dish out on the porch, you
But
know,
you're
in
still-
the open.
If they don't get it, the guy that puts a dish out, they're gonna come to the yard where they know people throw bread out every day or something like that. Now, what's the difference?
It probably really isn't.
Dale?
I don't know who
I
wants
just
to
have a
attract
question.
stuff to their house.
By passing, if you start the process for passing an ordinance, I think it's so open-ended, it just, time of someone, wasting somebody's time to read it, to try to enforce it. When originally this gentleman's complaint was on fleas.
We didn't have
No,
a problem
that's not
doing
No,
that.
you
with
said,
burning
no,
ordinance.
but,
We
correct
have
me if I'm
burning
wrong, you
ordinance,
said
we
your
can't
daughter
enforce
was getting
it.
fleas in your house.
That was one of the byproducts.
Because there was no, she had no animals.
That was one of the byproducts.
I don't see why you guys are spinning your wheels on it, because let's face it, as Mr. Saxon said a while ago, we have a lot bigger things in the city to worry about.
Well,
No
we do
disrespect
recognize,
to him.
in all due respect, we do recognize the fact that the cats are a problem. It's not just in the city of Sunbury, it's everywhere, and nobody's
Right.
found really a solution. But I have no problem looking at something, and I really don't. And I just haven't, you know, we need to find a way, or somebody to find, I'm curious how they're gonna enforce it over there. It's the same scenario.
They said they can't, that's the
Well,
problem.
that's what, and I, you know,
Nor
That's
and we
what I'd
agree on
like-
that.
That's what I'd like to know, who's gonna waste the time to go around and check for these cats?
Well, it's not really wasting the time though, Dale. There's places in town that have multi-dishes. There's dozens of cats come to this house, okay? And that's an issue right there. I don't know, and Rick, you're wrong, I feed the birds, I feed the squirrels, okay? So, yes, I'm gonna continue feeding those animals, and so, I don't know, but try something.
Do you think that's discriminatory, Jim?
It might be. I'm sure some agencies come in, you mean heck now. I don't feed the cats, just the squirrels and the birds.
I have something.
No, but to write it up, I can start looking at it. You can see what other towns do.
We have no option for dogs.
Haven to Home, mostly mutts, they have cats, you know, they help people get money and spay and neuter them. The problem is, they don't ever get enough money to do all of them.
No, they have correct.
And we won't either.
No, you won't, because there's not enough money in anybody's budget to do it.
Well, we'll keep it, let's do this, Mike, we'll keep it on the agenda. And if Jim, who seems to be the biggest supporter of it right now, if we can just find, if something happens in order, they change something or add something to it or something, we want to bring it up the next meeting for a vote, but we need to put something together in black and white to vote on. And see how, you know, even if it's just that part of it.
I want something to vote on next week.
Let me just say something, if I could.
Yes, sir.
It seems to be a big enough problem that most every municipality is attempting, or at least discussing, doing something about it. And I'm gonna tell you what, if you live next to one of those situations, it's not that you don't like the looks of a cat. I mean, they defecate in your yard, in your garden, it smells like urine, the fleas, the disease, etc., etc. It's not a wonderful thing. I mean, if you live next door to that, you'd have a better understanding for how life-changing it truly can be. I mean, it's not like somebody feeds one cat.
I do live next door to one of them, and that's my problem, because I sit there and I think, well, if I pass any kind of an ordinance, how's that gonna stop this is so-and-so's cat from coming over to my yard? And I can't give myself an answer, that's my problem. And that cat's pretty much inside
I'd like
most
to
of the
work
time.
with your problem and try to solve it. Jim's gonna come see me with some proposed ordinance.
We'll have a proposal, we'll definitely have a proposal to vote on.
Okay.
We know what the problem is.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
And anything you can find in between there, you know, throw our way, that type of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if Nori votes before, when do they vote? You know?
They already have it.
Oh, they already have
They
it?
already have it, that it goes in, every thing goes into effect January 1st.
Okay,
They just don't have the means or the money to enforce it.
all right.
We're meant to do these things.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Regina Russell, nice to see you back and congratulations on your reelection. Let me see, I'm not too familiar with how you license your dogs and the ordinances, but,
We don't
and I
count
think
them.
maybe you said something about this before, that you can't handle the cats like you do, dogs.
We don't license dogs. The county does that. I'm sorry, not to interrupt you.
I mean, dogs can't run around like cats in the city. They can't run free because there's some ordinance or county ordinance. Can we do
Dog
the same
ordinance,
thing about cats?
If you could enforce them, that's what this discussion is about.
Okay, so if you cannot enforce it at all, then are we saying dogs no longer need to have these licenses and they have
That's
to
a
be on a
county
lease?
issue. The county issues the dog licenses.
So is there any way that the council can work with the county, which I think that's what you're trying to do, so that you can eliminate this?
That's what the meeting that Kevin was at. That was a county meeting. They were trying to get municipalities from out Northumberland County all involved
To
in this cat
cooperate,
issue.
okay.
And the best of my, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was Sunbury and Nori, the only two people that showed up at the
People showed
meeting.
up.
It wasn't too cooperative.
And every municipality, borough, township, city was invited to this meeting. And Nori and Sunbury's on that show.
Okay.
Just so you know, just people understand, the state governs, and the chief knows this, the state governs dog laws. There is a dog law, but there's nothing to address felines at all. So the state actually governs that and they pass it on to the county.
County's just a handler of the licenses.
Right.
It's all state regulated. Like Mr. Fager, the dog officer, he's the state employee.
Yeah.
That's what Mr. Bolton did many years ago.
And Rick said a while ago, I guess, cats are considered what?
Consider
Non-domesticated, so that's why they're not regulated. I don't think we really put them on leashes.
Okay.
Just so you know, we do have an ordinance on dogs, and they're not allowed to be run